Okay. Four participants. Let everybody in. Give it a minute for everybody to come in, and the floor is yours, Stephen.
We did not talk about time limits.
3 minutes.
3 minutes total or 3 minutes on the subject?
3 minutes per member.
Remember, okay,
Comment.
I think that might be
As per
difficult on the whole
usual.
thing. Yeah,
As per usual.
might be difficult with 12 topics in a work session. Okay. Um, the March 9th work session for the Oregon Country Fair Board of Directors regarding bylaws will come to order. And we'll begin with announcements. If you have an announcement, please raise your hand in chat. Any announcements? Agenda review. Is there any objection to the agenda as submitted? Last call. Seeing none, we're going to go to, so for the members who are present, we're going to go through the entire presentation. I haven't been told who's making that presentation yet. Kirsten? So we're going to go through the entire presentation, then we're going to go back and rewind it, and we're going to go through each item listed on the agenda, put those slides up, and take member input. This is not a dialogue. You're welcome to ask a question, but I suggest you email those questions to the board. You are probably not going to get an answer in this meeting. This is mostly about feedback on the proposals that are being presented. And so with that, who is making the presentation, Kirsten?
I am going to share my screen, but John Steinhardt is going to make the presentation. And I will.
The slides, or am I?
I'm going to do the slides,
Oh,
but
okay.
you're do the presentation. So I'm just going to follow along with you.
Okay.
Can everybody see the slide?
Nope.
Nope.
Yeah, there it is.
The floor is yours, John.
Okay. So just a real quick introduction. The fair has really grown, and a lot of stuff we doesn't really scale well to being the size we are. And these are some changes to follow up what we did last year for online elections to try to make our life a little bit easier. And in the process of that, there's a couple of other minor things that need to get fixed. In order to handle online voting and membership, my team that does software needs to actually understand what the bylaws mean, and there's some mysteries in here. So I'm going to go through and explain each slide real quickly, and then we'll go over it again. And what do you want me to do? Do you want me to beep every time it's a new slide time, Kirsten? I'll do something. So anyway, the first one,
John, and when you're done reading the slide, I will move to the next one.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to read the entire slide because I'm hoping everybody else can read them. The first part of this is for eligibility and admission. We say that an individual is eligible if they're registered with the OCF, but we really don't say what that means. And one suggestion is to say that you're eligible if you have an account on the fair's database system with up-to-date contact information, because then we know you're actually with the OCF. Okay, next. One of the things I noticed in this is that you're eligible if you get an other fair camping pass, and I don't know what to do there because I don't know of any other fair camping pass, and nobody else I've talked to does either. So I'd just like to remove that language. Next. This one's a little bit more complicated because really the problem here is the verifiable worker day pass. We don't really have any good way of verifying worker day passes, much less wristbands. So I'm suggesting that we reword this to say that you're eligible for membership if you're recorded as having received a wristband or worker day pass in the FAIRS database system. Next. Likewise, same thing for elders here, that really all we care about is whether you're listed as an elder in the database system. That the verification is the job of the elders committee, not the job of the bylaws. Next. Okay, this one is interesting for a couple of reasons. There's actually kind of an interesting catch-22 here, which is that members have to file an initial registration form, but they can't be members because they haven't filed an initial registration form. So really suggesting doing two things here, making it possible for non-members to apply to be members and to change us away from using paper to doing this online. We're moving toward where in order to participate at the event, you have to have an account on the FAIRS database system. And that system also tracks everybody's membership, and it knows whether you actually meet the qualifications for membership. So suggesting changing that to you must apply to be a member during using the FAIRS database system. It saves paper, and it saves people having to read your forms and type them in and have them mismatch your name and a lot of things that took a lot of time this year. Next. This is kind of switching responsibility enough, which I think is a little bit, which is something I think we need to do for our size, which is rather than writing the membership secretary and say, I've moved, if you're going to have an account on Sunshine and have your information in the FAIRS database system, you should just update it. There's no reason to take other volunteers' time doing that. So that's what this change is. Next. This is another thing, again, due to size. So right now we do a combination of emails and mails and other things in order to notify people. This just says we're going to put our notices up on the FAIR website and people can look at them there. It's a lot easier for us, and people can look anytime, and reduces the amount of work of the staff quite a bit. Next. Again, suggesting removing that because if we go with the rest of this, all of the registration is submitted online, so we don't need this anymore. Next. Okay, this one is a little bit complicated. I'm going to explain the next several slides at once. So one of the weird things in ORS 65 is that we actually can't remove somebody's membership without notifying them, giving them a chance to appeal, blah, blah, blah. But we have a lot of people who are members that we actually don't have contact for, and we actually can never clean up our database or our membership database without taking out newspaper, TV, and radio ads. And there's probably a fair number of people in our database that we don't have contact information for because they're not with us anymore. So the wording in ORS 65 is kind of interesting about all of this, and it wasn't clear to me that we could actually make these changes, so we got an attorney's opinion on it. And so where I say attorney recommends the next few slides, that's the attorney's opinion. But what I had asked was, can we add a new category without violating ORS 65 of your membership has expired? Because if you go back earlier, the requirements for being a member are that you vote, I think, once every 3 years, that you if you're not an elder, that you attend, I think, once every 3 years or something like that. And so this change basically says if you're not meeting the requirements for membership anymore, your membership goes away and we don't have to notify you. We probably will notify you anyway, but anyway, that's what this is about. So in order to make this happen, the first thing that the attorney suggested is changing the heading of this thing to add expiration. Next. Okay, this part actually isn't part of the previous part because I'm doing these in order. So The bylaws currently say you can deliver a written notice of resignation to the membership secretary. I'm just suggesting you can push a button on the FAIRS database system to do that. The one addition that I'd like to put in there is that maybe there's a waiting period between resigning your membership and deciding to apply again. I don't want people, I don't think it makes sense to allow people to resign their membership, apply 5 seconds later, resign again. So I'm just suggesting we have a little delay in there. Next. Okay, so this is the stuff from the attorney. So yeah, so basically, he is suggesting removing the yellow sections here and renumbering, and then those will get replaced with stuff on the next slide. So next. So the attorney here is recommending that terminated or suspended be replaced with terminated, suspended, or whose membership has expired. That's basically it. Go on. Okay, and then this is a whole new section that the attorney has added, which I think recapitulates what I said about the requirements to be a membership, that basically says your membership expires if you don't do these things. So let's leave it up for a second in case people haven't read it and then move on. So this doesn't really change anything. It just moves it around a little bit. So I can move on if everybody's ready. This one is just an English fix. If you actually read this one, it says you can be terminated for failure to 4 actions, and this is just an English fix. Doesn't change anything else. Next. Okay, this one I'm suggesting just changing membership meeting to election because we don't vote at membership meetings anymore. That kind of went away with COVID. So I don't think it makes sense to tie the time that you have to be a member before an election to when the membership meeting is. I think it's more important to tie that to when the election is. Next. This is just removing the word written because our ballots are electronic now. You're going to see a lot of this. Next. This one is similar to the one earlier. This just says that rather than us pushing information at you, that we're going to have the information. We'll push it to you by putting it on the FAIR's website, but it's your job to go look at it. Again, we already have email lists that go out about things like, board motions and stuff like that, and we'll probably continue doing that. But from a legal standpoint, we're basically saying if we post it up there that, we've given you the information that we're required to to give you by law. Continue. Okay, again, this is just getting rid of written stuff. So it's kind of a long section, but not that complicated. So next, when you're ready. This one is just a technical fix. When I was reading this stuff, the way the bylaws are written right now is not actually in line with ORS 65. Basically, the membership secretary or the board can call special meetings. It's not the membership secretary and the board. So next. Yeah, I'm not actually completely sure what to do with this one, except for maybe removing this sentence because I don't know where meetings are taking place when we're doing them by Zoom. I don't know if it makes sense to say the Zoom host must be in Lane County because, I'm not in Lane County at the moment and a lot of you aren't. So I'm suggesting we just remove that unless there's some, well, again, I just don't know how to make sense of it online. So next. This is another similar notice one, which just says we're going to give you notice of membership seat meetings and annual elections and other actions by putting it on the FAIR website. Next. I actually don't know what to do with this one. I don't know how we determine the 200 members are present in person at an online meeting. I don't know whether that means that everybody needs to be on Zoom as opposed to on YouTube, where we can count them. This one I don't actually have any suggested wording for because I don't know what to do. So hopefully some of our guests tonight will have some ideas. Next. Yeah, again, same thing. How do we know that people are present? Next. Okay, this is just removing a bunch of writtens. So next when you're ready. Yeah, this one's is there a little bit more on this slide that I'm not seeing, or am I not remembering the slide? No, I guess not. Okay. Yeah, the question here is do members that want to send information out to other members need to deliver it in writing, or can they email it? I think it's a little more modern to email stuff. So that's it. And this one again, I think needs a little revision, and I'm not sure exactly what to do. In the old days, if you wanted to send something to all the members, you had to pay to get things printed and put postage on it, and pay the office staff for their time in getting everything sent out. But if we're doing it by email, I don't know if this really makes sense anymore. I would want to make sure that we just like the membership resignation and application, that we don't allow the same person to make a request every 5 minutes because it would still swamp things. But and I don't know how we determine how much it actually costs in cash or certified check to mail things when there are really no costs. So not really sure what to do with this one either, but doesn't really make sense in the online age as it's currently written. Next. This is just a section that really doesn't need to be here. It was added a while ago and it didn't really make a lot of sense then, and there was a lot of contention over it, but it actually doesn't make sense at all for electronic voting. We are not designating the membership secretary as a proxy to to do anything now that we're doing online voting. So that's it for that one. Next. Another written. Just removing this part of this because if we remove the big section a few slides back, this doesn't make sense anymore. So next. Or is that it? Yeah, that's it. Hey, that wasn't too bad.
My issue is I cannot share my screen and also do the timer. So, John, do you want to share your screen? Because we're going to allow people to, we're going to go one by one by one, but I can't share my screen and do the timer.
Yeah. Give me a second. I closed everything because I wasn't doing it. So
I'm going to go ahead.
I could also do it if you like. I have it up here.
Okay,
Sure.
great. I'm going to go ahead and make Stephen the co-host so that he can run the slides and I can run the timer because I can't do both. I mean, my screen just won't let me see both things at one time. So.
Even so, it gets hard.
While we're getting organized, I got an update from Indigo. She was walking back to her hotel from making her presentation at the United Nations, and we'll try to tune in if she can.
I let her in. I saw her come in. So,
great.
Welcome, Indigo.
Trying to figure out.
Do you have the presentation, Stephen? There we go.
I just was trying to figure out why it wasn't showing me.
You know what? You're going to have a hard time watching the stack and running the slides.
I'll be okay.
Okay.
I'll be okay with it. If I run into trouble, we'll figure it out. But Okay, so we're on item 1. Let me get my agenda here. So we're on item 1 or slide 1, eligibility and admission. And we're going to begin with member input. Now, I see board members raising their hand, and we can do that. We were talking about this as being a session to hear from members and not engage in dialogue. Also, ideally, then not really listening to board members as much as listening to members of the fair. So I see Paxton's hand up, and I just want to, cover that.
Steve, if I may poke in there, I think
Yeah.
the board members are required to all be members, so I would be
It's
happy,
fine.
happy to
I'm
hear from
just
them
saying,
too.
we did this before, and so I'm just trying to make sure we're all on the same page about it. John Pincus, go ahead.
Yeah, I can't stay very long because of technical problems. But I would say that we still have members and participants that are not as fully in the electronic age as John is, and that we need to write whatever revisions we make, need to still include the ability to conduct members' rightful functions in writing. And we can alter the wording to include the electronic options, but I don't think we should be eliminating the written options. We even have people that live in some places where you literally can't get the internet. So let's just include all the options that our membership might have. And I think there has been some concern expressed by other members regarding the termination proposal and its potential impact on elders. And I think the elders committee should have a chance to review and discuss that. And thirdly, I hope you will not be voting on this tonight, because there's a lot of information to respond to, and I don't think most of us can do so in 3 minutes. So I'm planning on writing my responses or writing my responses to you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. There's no voting tonight at all. And we'll go to Paxton.
Mine's a quick question, John. Is who was the legal advice, and is that a fair lawyer that we've contracted with? Thank you.
Yes, it was Frank Gibson.
But who paid it?
I believe Kirsten will pay at the end of the month.
Yes. We have multiple lawyers, so this is just one in our bank of lawyers.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate.
Lisa Parker.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lisa Parker. I'm chair of the bylaws committee. And I might not be able to stay for the whole meeting either because it's a work night. And I worked pretty hard today and I'm tired. But I just wanted to say that the bylaws committee was not included in any of this work at all. So this is new to me too. I've had a chance to look it over and I just have a couple of comments. I think that I was expecting that there would need to be some housekeeping done on the bylaws once we started including electronic voting. However, I am a little bit concerned that the effect of most of these changes will remove the ability for people to vote by paper ballot, by USPS. And that was one of the reasons I supported moving to electronic voting, was that we would not be disenfranchising members who can't or won't, for any reason, do that. The other thing is, I just want to point out that for the purpose of the term written, when you're talking about written communication, email does count as written communication. So I don't think we need to really get into the weeds with that. But my overall hope is that the board will review these recommended changes, and I think some of them are completely appropriate. But then there's others that I have a little more concern about. And I hope that the board decides to assign a review and update of the bylaws to the bylaws committee, in addition to the issues that we did point out to the board, I believe in 2023, once we had completed our comprehensive and review and update of the bylaws. We did send a document to the board with some things that we had hoped the board would task us with taking a look at. But just in case I can't stay for the whole meeting, I just wanted to say all that, and thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think your time's expired too, Lisa, in terms of the rest of the meeting. Joe Pitaluga. Joe?
I'm sorry, I did not mean to put my hand up. I was just agreeing with what John Pincus was saying.
Oh, okay. Please only use this for chat. Chat for hands, please. So I guess I'm next. I'm speaking as a member, not as a facilitator. And I just want to say on this particular item and a number of others that come up with it, I do not think it's best to say registered with the FAIR database or reference the database. It's better to say registered with the OCF and look at, you can say, and then have policy that describes what that means. So that if the FAIR's database completely crashes, or if you decide to have another system, or so you can get into details that don't need to be in the bylaws about things like people who are not able to be on the database system or have an account, but maybe get registered by someone else onto the database system because they live without internet service. You can set all those things up in policy. So typically, I would say the bylaws should be more general, and you should establish what some of those things mean in policy. Thanks. Next person is LT.
Stephen Bergson just covered everything I was going to say. The database specifics are really interpretation, and I don't believe that they belong to bylaws for that reason. So it's been covered.
Thank you. Heidi.
Hi, I just wanted to answer the question that's posed on this page. And that is that, what does it mean to be registered with the OCF? It means that they have submitted membership information and requested to be a member, a voting member.
Thank you. Aaron.
Hi. In regards to this slide only, I do agree we probably should just change the suggested verbiage to say maybe FAIR's membership system rather than database. That way, whatever system's in place can be used.
Paxton.
Other FAIR camping passes are photo IDs. And some of the photo IDs, a very, very few, do not have wristbands in them.
Okay, let's try and unless people have to leave, we'll come back to that slide. So let's try and do the slides that are up at the moment as best we can. Thank you, Paxton. Is there anyone else on this slide, or shall I move on? What?
That is this slide.
Is it? Did I miss
Other
something?
FAIR camping passes.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was another slide that it rests the same language about other
Correct.
FAIR passes. So my mistake. Thank you. Ann.
I agree with what Paxton said about this slide and what Heidi said about this slide, and I'm very surprised that the bylaws committee was not involved in making any of this discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, last call. Move on to the next slide. John Govsky.
I just want to echo a couple folks. I don't think it's necessary to reference specifically the database and the bylaws. I do agree that that could be in a policy manual or in a set of policies, but I don't think we need to reference the database itself in the bylaws. I think that's a little too micro. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Getting a whole page per click. Okay, so here's the other fair camping passes, which Paxton's already addressed. Is there anyone else who has anything to say about other fair camping passes? Last call. Moving on. Anyone want to address this policy? This is specifically about the saying how we determine who has received those things. Anyone want to address this? Heidi.
Hi, this has typically been the responsibility of the membership secretary when we have one.
I'll speak again, not as facilitator, but as a member, and I'm just going to say really quick, this applies to the same thing. This can be, what this means can be in policy. It does not need to be in the bylaws to say, you know, this is how we verify whether or not you received one. That's it. Aaron.
So there's a discussion about possibly not saying database. We could just say FAIR's record keeping system. That would cover all eventualities.
Any other comments on this slide? Anne.
I agree with what Steve Berkson said. Thank you very much.
Steve, if I could poke in for just a second.
Yeah.
Can we just assume that I will take the advice that anytime it said database, we will do another policy and not have to do that on every single slide?
Fine with me. And it doesn't necessarily apply to every single thing, but it's a principle to look at for what things need to be defined. They can be defined outside of this. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to this slide? Last call? Okay. So we can ask if anyone wants to refer to this. Now I will mention, as John just said, he's acknowledged that many of these database slides can be addressed by policy, so we don't need to pound on that. Is there anybody who wants to say anything else about this? LT.
Lisa just informed me that the accordance with OCF Elders policy was added at the advice of the attorney. She frankly didn't think it was necessary either, but during this last rewrite when that went in, the attorney at that time, it wasn't Frank Gibson, but she said, what does that mean, verified elder? And so she asked for that language, but I don't think that means it's necessary. But I just want to explain where it came from.
Thank you. Anyone else on this slide? Last call? So anyone want to address this? Again, we don't need to beat on the database question here, simply getting clarity. Heidi.
I guess I just want to echo what was said before about not everyone is going to be able to use the FAIRS database system.
Yeah. John.
Yeah, I just want to say even accepting that, I think we need to somehow change the language to say it's the responsibility of each prospective member or non-member or something, because if you can't be a member until you filed an initial form, you can never become a member. So we need to clean that up anyway. And again, I accept the language on the database system.
and I'll raise my hand again, speaking as member, not as the facilitator. Yeah, I concur with you on that, John, and I would say, rather than fill out a form, is to register with the fair, and you could even say in the fair, with the fair, in accordance with OCF policy or whatever else. Any details can be specified outside the bylaws. John Pincus.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I would say also, certainly should be the prospectus member responsibility to apply. But regarding the other changes in which we wouldn't be directly notifying a member, if we have people if we are sending out emails to people, I don't see why we wouldn't be notifying people if their membership is terminated or expiring or something like that. It seems like when you're referencing the electronic age, that seems fairly easy compared to what it used to be. And for the few that can only do written communications, that's a small enough number that I don't think it's burdensome. So thanks.
Thanks, John. That's your time this meeting. Aaron.
I believe that each member should be responsible for maintaining their membership records and for signing up. I think it's a great idea. And just a general statement, even though it's not just this slide, I really think that this is the way to handle these changes. Thank you, John, for putting this together. I don't believe this needs to take a whole bunch of committee time. I think the board can do this work pretty simply, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Last call for this slide. Moving on to the next one. Anyone want to address this slide?
I think Aaron just did.
Yeah. Last call. Anyone want to address this slide? Okay, moving on. Anyone want to? Heidi.
This was the language that the lawyer suggested to us when we did the last or the one before revision of the bylaws. And it was basically adding that an email address could be a means of contact, a preferred contact information.
Thank you. Anyone? Anne.
I just want to add that I was a liaison to the board, to the to the bylaws at this time that this was added. And this is really important in addressing some people in very rural areas where there may not even be a street address. Thank you.
And I'm raised my hand. I'm going to speak as a member again, and I'm just going to say my recommendation for this would be that each member has the responsibility to maintain current contact information with the Oregon Country Fair in accordance with Oregon Country Fair policy, and then address this in policy. Thanks. Anyone else want to address this slide? Last call. And anyone want to address this slide? Last call. We're into the termination, suspension, and expiration of membership. Is there anyone who wants to address this slide specifically, knowing the next few slides have details on this? Last call. Okay. Anyone want to address this slide? Heidi?
I'm not sure either of these are necessary. We've never had anybody who resigned who wanted to reapply again.
Thank you. John Gowski?
On the written notice, I mean, I understand and I agree with Lisa when she said that written email communications is also under the category of written. I'm just thinking if language like that is in there, a member might not understand that distinction. I might think they have to actually physically write a letter because it says written. So I'm just wondering if in some cases we would add, email in there as an option, just because I think that could be misunderstood. Because written is not generally understood by everybody as including email, even though I understand it is. That's all.
Thank you. Paxton?
I'm not in favor of the two changes down on the bottom. Thank you. I prefer to have a written notice or email. I don't mind. I think doing it in several methods is good.
Thank you. I'm going to speak again as a member, not as the facilitator, and say, I would again say here, this could be that individuals may resign their membership at any time by notifying the fair in accordance with Oregon Country Fair policy, and just make these policies easy to find. There's a lot of posts on the website here, and ultimately down the road, I want to provide some feedback that has to mean something that doesn't take 4 clicks and have to know it's already there to go look for it. So we really need to work on how transparent these postings are, but posting would be a perfectly acceptable way to do it. Next person is LT.
Yeah, and I just what Stephen Bergson just said, and I think that general concept of how bylaws work, generality versus specific application, is precisely why things go through the bylaws committee.
Any other comment on this slide? Last call. Okay, we're moving on. Coyote.
So I hope I'm speaking in the right place here. Termination, suspension, probation. I'm focusing mostly on the elder population. I believe I would really like to see when an elder falls into the potential for suspension, probation, or termination, that a similar tribunal or whatever of elders, which would be one more than non-elders, making a decision on this individual's status or future. We look at different cultures. You're taking groups or trainings on different cultures, etc. Senior citizens, the gerontology is a different culture. And as we get older, some of our behaviors are inappropriate. We may slip a gear. We may have some mental, cognitive, social deterioration. And I think it's important that we take into consideration, do have somehow some evaluations, assessments of this individual. Because it's the membership for elders in the Fair family is very psychologically, very emotionally, very physically important. It's an identity. Years of volunteering and being very helpful in making the Fair what it is today. And if we do look at the definition of family or consider ourselves family, family doesn't desert or terminate a member from their family because they may have some disorder, psychological gear slipping that goes along with becoming older. It's an important identity. Tribes tribes don't put their elders out on ice floes because they have become inappropriate. They don't send them off into the desert with a bag or something like that. They work with these people. They continue to have them within the tribe, within the unit, within the family. I believe we need to be more compassionate in dealing with elders when they do something or things that may be inappropriate.
30 seconds.
To shun them, to banish them, is not very compassionate. I think there are other ways that we can help achieve what would be called atonement, at-one-ment, becoming still part of the family without being banished. So I'd like to see this looked at more closely, more compassionately, you know, more
Okay.
more from that healing of the heart that our NAO suggested, what, 8 years ago or 10 years ago. Okay, thank you for the extra time. Bye
Thank
now.
you. And I just want to say, I'm speaking again as not as a facilitator, as a member, that on the last item here, I would like to see the contrary to the interests of OCF language revisited. It's a little squishy. People can disagree about it. Somebody may be saying things that other people don't like, but believe that they're doing so in the interests of the fair. So I'd like to see that language revisited to more like the things that get you booted, to being truly a danger or harm in the community. And I don't have specific recommendation for that. John.
Yeah, I just wanted to provide some clarification because I don't think Coyote understands that this is not changing the conditions for losing your membership. Even if you're as an elder, your membership will go away if you don't vote at least once every 3 years. Not changing that. All we're doing is changing it so that we don't have to track you down if you're not voting every 3 years and finding out whether or not you're alive by taking out television ads before we can clean up our membership database. So yeah, I just don't think we're not changing these requirements. Thanks.
And to clarify, elder status is not tied directly to membership, right? You're still an elder.
Correct.
Yeah. Paxton.
I just have to quibble with the TV and radio. When you're looking for people, you don't have to conduct actions. That is not a reason to
Rito or S65.
You don't have to do it. Thank you.
Aaron.
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I had my volume turned off when I left. So all of this has made me think a little bit about something that might be more work than we want to handle. But when I first read all of this earlier, I was thinking maybe it's possible that we should have a little volunteer person or people that are on staff that are part of our regular staff, not a separate job, because I don't see this as a big deal. That if there was the occasional person who needed someone to actually put their information in the database for them, they could call the office and they could do that. Or they could call someone on their crew or on their elder. So if they were, well, obviously we just said elders are not part of that. Just so that, people who aren't electronically connected have a way to be connected. And then our current electronic record keeping system can be up to date, because I do think it's critical that it actually be up to date. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more on this slide? Last call. Okay, any input on this slide? This is specifically just adding, I believe, expiration to the existing language to account for our requirement to vote. Anyone want to comment on this slide? Last call. Anyone want to comment on this slide regarding adding a section on expiration? Last call. This is a slide we've already looked at. It's just talking about the grammatical change, if I'm not mistaken. The grammatical issue of number 4. Is there anyone who wants to address this slide? Any input? If I summarize what any of these slides are incorrectly, John, please let me know. Last call. This is changing from membership meeting to an election or action by written ballot. Does anybody want to comment on this slide? Any input? Last call. This is talking about written ballot. I believe electronic ballots still count as written ballots. Is there anyone who wants to comment on this slide? Heidi.
You just said my comment. I don't think we still have to have written ballots for those people who are unable or unwilling to do an electronic ballot. And written does include electronic.
John.
Yeah, I don't actually quite get why we have to have paper ballots for people that are unwilling. This makes work for us, and I understand helping out people that are unable, but unwilling, I don't quite get that one. Thanks.
Thank you. Anne.
I agree with Heidi. And to address John's thing, there are people who are concerned about security in electronic voting and who are younger than 40 years old who are requesting paper ballots. Thank you.
And I'm speaking as a member, not as a facilitator. I'm just because I kind of blurted out earlier, but I believe that the electronic ballots are still qualify as written ballots. That's all was my point. I don't disagree with you about unwilling, John. Kevin.
I feel like that we should leave open the options for written ballots. I mean, it feels like, again, the database goes down, things happen. Perhaps we have to do something in an emergency or what have you, but I think it's not going to hurt to have that there. I think the last election, there was, I forget what the number was of people that were mail-in ballots. I know it wasn't a lot, but maybe we're not there yet. But I think we should just have it as an option anyways. So thanks.
Can I provide some information on what Kevin was saying?
Sure. So I would think I need
So
to.
my understanding is that the last election, and I guess Heidi can correct me if I don't have this right, is that there were 15 paper ballots sent out initially. At least one was from somebody one was to somebody that was unwilling. And then I think about another 135 or 40 were sent out because of bounced email addresses because we didn't have good contact information for those people. Thanks.
And I'm gonna just clarify here as a facilitator for Kevin here. I don't think this is about whether or not there are written ballots at all. This isn't a policy. It says A, B, or C. So the question is, if electronic ballots also qualify as written ballots, then the fact that we have ballots, they don't all have to be of the same form. You could have some electronic, some written. So I think the real question is just whether or not this is all encompassing of the various means by which we allow people to vote. That if anybody, I took facilitator time for that. So if I've interpreted that incorrectly, somebody please speak up now before I move on.
Yeah. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, and thanks anybody can help. Thanks.
Okay, Joe.
I just wanted to say I agree with what Stephen said. I was going to say the same thing, that written or electronic ballots should count. And also that the reason we need to provide the options is because it is stated in the state law, if I understand it right.
You got a one sentence, Jonathan?
Yeah, I would like either the board or the bylaws committee probably the bylaws committee to give some more definition to what the term the interests of the fair is. I think it was on a previous slide.
That was on a previous slide, yeah.
I've seen the board take actions that I thought were not in the best interest of the fair. So I think that's a pretty vague term that.
Okay, John, you are out of time. I was asking if you had one sentence. I think that perspective has been shared already. So
all right, thank you.
Don't mind. Appreciate it. Paxton. Paxton.
Sorry, I'm having trouble getting the button. I'm fully support having paper ballots along with electronic ballots. I think it will take quite a while to transition. I do not think that going all electronic for everything is really appropriate for the fair. Thank you.
Thank you. LT.
Thanks. Just returning to the question of statutory requirement for notice, ORS 65.034 is the notice required. And it essentially just says that notice may be oral or written, and then there are a number of different options: person, telephone, electronic, mail, private carrier, newsletter. And then if those aren't possible, then the statute provides that notice may be communicated by newspapers, radio, television, or other forms of public broadcast. So it just lists a whole bunch of options. There's no statutory requirement ever that mass media be used for notice. It seems pretty obvious that the list above that would cover every eventuality.
Thank you. Any more input on this slide? Last call. Okay. Any input on this slide?
Just a quick question: whose time is still running?
I don't see any time running right now. Maybe it just got shut off. Any input on this slide? Last call. Moving to the next one. Nope. Paxton.
I just want to say I'm not in favor of everything being on the members' onus. I think that is a mistake in a way to lessen the volunteerism at the fair. I think we need to figure out ways to encourage volunteerism and more involvement rather than putting the work on the individual themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other input? Last call. LT.
Thanks. Real quickly, yeah, I think that there's a big difference between shall be entitled to be informed and may inform themselves. And one of them sets forth an absolute entitlement, and the other one just gives people an option. I think there's a difference in there. But
Thank you.
And it looks to me, I'm watching the little clock, it looks to me like that was my time that was running during that long hiatus. So
I'll assume you got any time back from the clock continuing to run. John.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Paxton. One of the reasons we're going up for electronic things is the number of volunteers and staff to do this sort of work is greatly outnumbered by the family because we've grown so much. And it really works out a whole lot better to have each of 20,000 people spend a minute than to find volunteers and staff willing to spend 20,000 minutes to do something. It just doesn't scale and it doesn't work very well. Thanks.
Last call for input on this slide. Any input on this slide? I'm going to give it a minute. There's a lot of text here. Any input on this slide? Heidi.
I'm not sure we can remove this highlighted text. I think that this is what makes it clear how we do this. Given that written also means email, and if the board provides another means, I think that we have to leave that in there.
Any other input on this slide? And I'm gonna speak as a member, not as a facilitator, and just say I do think that language could be modified and simply say ballots issued to all members by whatever means or various means provided by the board. And any other input on this slide? Last call. I got to try and save some time for the proxy slide. All right, moving on. Any input on this slide? Again, there's a lot of language. We'll wait a minute. Any input on this slide? Last call. If anybody needs more time, say so. Okay. Any input on this slide? This is specifically addressing that meetings have to take place in Lane County, Oregon, as opposed to their hybrid and online meetings. Is there anyone who wishes to make a comment on this issue? Last call. Anyone want to make comment on this slide? John.
Yeah, I want to say part of the reason why I'm suggesting this change is that because we don't send out paper Fair Family Newses anymore, because it used to be that we could put notices in the Fair Family News, and I'm not sure having the Fair Family News only being available online counts under the original language. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to comment on this issue? Heidi.
Excuse me. I believe that the written notice, we also send an email to members voting who have registered as voting members. And so I think that's the written notice of membership. And I think part of this is also to satisfy the ORS, if I remember right.
Anyone else have input on this slide issue? Last call. Anyone want to address this slide? Heidi again.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
My understanding of this is that we would have to have at least 200 people vote to have a quorum.
Thank you. Teresa.
I would like to, and I couldn't figure out the right place to throw this in, so I'm coming in now. I really want to thank John for all of this. I think it's an amazing task. I've done it myself on bylaws, but so many things like this one are coming up that I really would like to see this go to the bylaws committee next to get their for the reason that we still have questions about things. And second, I kind of need our committee to be on top of what's going on with the bylaws. So because I count on asking them questions and having them, have been a part of all the different transformations of it, I think are important. Certainly I want their feedback, and this is just one of the few times when I've wanted to jump in and say that that is the direction that I would like to see. And again, I'm going to come back to where I started, which is huge gratitude for your deep work, John Steinhardt. I think it's an amazing review, and I appreciate it.
Paxton.
I'd like to see it something dealt with by proxy too. I was involved in those discussions at the bylaws committee when we set that up. It was a long and complex discussion. And so I think this question and all of these questions really need to come to the bylaws committee for final working. That's one of the things I really appreciate about that committee is they've been able to do this over decades. Thank you.
Thank you. John.
Yeah, I think there's two definitions of proxy here. When I normally think of proxy, it's that I appoint somebody else to vote for me. In the work that was done before, there was a theory that the membership secretary had to be a proxy for every voter. And I know there was some disagreement over that, but yeah, I wouldn't mind having the ability to actually have a proxy that could vote for me if I couldn't vote, but I'm not sure that matters that much now that it's online anyway. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm speaking as a member, not the facilitator, and I just want to say I think this should be changed to be 200 members participating in the balloting or vote. And I think we've moved to where all decisions by the membership are not done at a meeting, but are done by a vote that can reach out to all members. Paxton.
At the time we did it, proxy was really required by the state law. So to fit in the elections into that, I think things have changed since then. And so I too am interested. Stephen, I like your rewording of that somewhat. So appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else have input on this slide? Last call. Any input on this slide? Paxton.
I think it needs discussion in the bylaws committee. Thank you.
Thank you. John.
Yeah, I actually missed this when I was doing it, but I think all members shall be entitled to vote. I don't think you have to be present at a meeting to vote anymore. So I think it just makes more sense to just remove the present at meetings. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comment on this slide? Last call. Any comment on any member input on this slide? This is again about the question between people over how important it is written, whether that excludes electronic, I think would be the best way to describe the issue at hand. Would you say that's correct, John?
Yeah, and I think we've already covered this one. So,
yep. Anyone have any input on this slide? Last call. Any input on this slide? I think this is a similar issue on the written. Last call. Any input on this slide? Anyone want to address this slide? Heidi?
If I remember right, the last time that someone requested to send written communication, it did go by email and it did not cost them anything. And maybe Kirsten could clarify that because it went through the office.
It did cost them, but far less than doing postal. So yes, it did go via email. There was some office time. That was about it.
Thank you.
Any other comment on this slide? Aaron?
Basically, my only comment on this slide is that the cost, of course, is the question. This idea of a frequency limit is interesting. I would just like to make certain that there's no situation other than obvious profanity or something where one or two people could keep membership from contacting other membership, only because of past history, not because I expect any problems with our current staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other input on this slide? Last call. Any input on this slide? LT.
Hi, and I'm echoing it. Hang on. Let me see if I can fix it. With me. Okay. Well, I can't hear I can hear myself talk, and hopefully there's no echo now. And I've lost my video. Zoom crashed on me, and I'm going to try to be quick. Just a general, I hope this is germane to this one, but just the general issue I think we need to be mindful of is in ORS 65212, use of electronic mail to discuss issues or take action. It's permitted by section 1, as not subsect. Notwithstanding subsection 1, corporation members may not use electronic mail or other electronic means to take action if the corporation does not have a record of an electronic mail address for a member. So everybody has to have their email in, or it looks like we can't take action, at least exclusively by electronic means.
Thank you. So I'm up and I'm speaking as a member, not as a facilitator. And real quick on what that's why we have hybrid, not online elections. And I am very in favor of removing all this proxy language. It was not required. I don't know if it was ever required before, but I couldn't find any evidence of it. When I was attending the bylaw meetings on this, the fair attorney said that the proxy language is not required. And what I recommend is that what we say, if you're not actually being the proxy for a person, what you're really doing is providing an alternative means of balloting. And there was some issue with maybe people overseas or other things who couldn't do the by mail in lieu of an online. And the issue should be to empower the membership secretary to provide a alternative means of balloting to those people who can demonstrate that they can't use the means of balloting provided by the board. So the board could provide online voting and the board could provide paper ballots to those who need them. And if somebody demonstrates they can't use those processes, then the membership secretary can provide them an alternative means of balloting. That's my input on this slide. Been saving that up. Any other input on this issue? Any other members have input on this issue? Last call. We're nearing the end. Back to another written. Does anyone have any input on this slide?
Can I send written input?
No written input. All you gotta do is put hand. Last call. Seeing none, moving to the last slide. And this is again on the proxy issue. Anyone want to address this? Last call. Paxton?
As one who was involved in the original discussion on that, I would love to see it being brought up at a bylaws committee and worked on again. I do think it needs to be somewhat changed. I think the reason for proxies has gone away, and I think the state laws have changed. So thank you.
Thank you. Heidi?
I would also like to see the bylaw committee look at this because I'm not sure we need to have proxies anymore. And just a little history, when we first started having absentee ballots, that was something that our lawyer at the time, Russell, insisted we had to put in there so that we were in accordance with the ORS, that the membership secretary act as proxy for the people sending in written ballots. So it's old. And I'm not sure it's still necessary.
LT?
Yeah, it just occurred to me that, we go again, that it would make sense to include the elections committee in these types of committee deliberations about things that are directly related to elections.
Any other input on this last slide? Last call. Seeing none, we have moved through all the topics for this work session. The next board meeting is Monday, April 6th, 2026 at 7 p.m. via Zoom. And we'll take a few minutes for meeting evaluation. I believe we have time, correct? Yes. Anybody have anything for meeting evaluation? John?
Yeah, I wanted to thank everybody for their great input. Would appreciate it if they either email or use some other written method to send their comments to me or to the whole board. Either way will work, so I can make sure I didn't miss anything. But thanks, that was very helpful.
Thank you. Trevor?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say that I really appreciate all of the input today. I didn't have much to say because it was being said live, and I agree with a lot of what's going on here. And I think it's a success when I think we're actually net losing words in policy. So I think when you do that, you're making better policy because it's more precise and easier to digest. So I really appreciate the work we've made so far. And I think we do need to go to the bylaws committee, and we do need to include elections if it's necessary to have their input. And I think we can get this done with the framework we have in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you. John Govsky?
Yeah, I want to thank John Steinhardt for putting this together in such a logical and easy to follow way that made this meeting go very smooth. So thank you, John, for doing that. Great work. I also just want to say it's a little odd because the most important person to this meeting is a membership secretary, and obviously we don't have one. So it just feels a little weird to be talking about all these things without a membership secretary in the room who would have to implement a lot of what we're discussing. I also want to just tell my fellow board members, take a look at the membership application form on the website. It really needs to be updated, and it's the linchpin on all this stuff. That's where the rubber meets the road. It's not even an online fillable form. You have to print it out. You have to put a wet signature. It's required. It's not really required by law. For some reason, it's required by us. It's just, it borders on voter suppression to me. We should make it really easy to register to vote and not difficult. It should be an online form. You fill it out. You put your email address in, which is required on the form, and then you get an email message back. So we verify your address, you click on the link, just like everybody else does when you sign up for a list. I don't understand why we're not in the 21st century on this. It doesn't make any sense to me. I have told this to 2 membership secretaries. I told Vanessa, hey, I'll fix the form. She's like, whoa, cowboy, that's the membership secretary job. I've talked to 2 different membership secretaries to get that form updated. Nothing has ever happened. It's very frustrating, and I think it's a ridiculous membership form. It should be updated and should be frictionless. We're making it hard for people to register. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue?
Just want to thank you for your.
We're not hearing you. You're there, but your volume's really low.
Oh, okay, sorry. Steve, I want to thank you for your continued excellent work as facilitator. You really did an excellent job last Monday, and you continue to do so. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Kevin.
Yeah, I just want to thank John for getting this all together, and getting everybody here. I appreciate everybody's comments, and I appreciate, as usual, his openness to all of us commenting. And so, I do have a question. Sorry if it doesn't make sense to be here, but John, if we want to get this to bylaw committees, election folks, to other people to check out, is there a time limit on getting this? Because I know it has to be. Are we trying to do this before the elections? I'm sorry.
I'd like it to be done before the fair because that's when we typically sign up most members. And I think technically, as long as this is new business in April, since this is a bylaws change, it's got to be new business for 2 months. And then we could vote on it at the June meeting, or if necessary, at the July meeting. I think as long as I think we pretty much have up until about a couple of weeks before it becomes old business to make changes to the language of the motion. So we do have a couple of months that could be worked on. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. So sort of outside of
I was on the list actually.
Yeah, it's okay, but we're sort of outside of meeting evaluation. Is there anyone else who's going to address something not about meeting evaluation that is sort of in line with tonight's topic? And then
that's
I want to
why
get
my
back
hand was
to the
on the
meeting
list.
evaluation people. So, LT?
Yeah, I was just going to suggest in relation to keeping things moving that I think the board could direct the bylaws committee right now to get busy on this, to coordinate with John, with the elections committee, and start setting the meetings and doing the work necessary so that we're actually on track prior to the next meeting rather than waiting until April.
And so, John, did you have something else to say that is on this? I'm going to go back.
No, I actually wanted to talk about the membership form and just agree with Govsky that
Okay.
I had there's stuff on the current membership form that actually isn't quite legal, and I've talked to 2 different membership secretaries about that and haven't been able to get it fixed. But I have been working on something, so when you go worry about getting on your crew or booth, that you can just push a button and say, I want to become a member. And we know what your work history is. We know what your address is. We know what your email address is. So you don't have to do anything except unless we want to put something up that says, here's what being a member means. And, click to say you read it, even if you didn't. Yeah, really, I'm trying to make it easier for people. But thanks.
Okay, so I'm going to go to Heidi, and hopefully we're back to meeting evaluation. Heidi?
Yeah, sorry. I just wanted to say that Jeff was working with John Steinhardt on getting an online membership form. He did a lot of work and planning on that.
Thanks. Anyone else for meeting evaluation? Paxton?
6 on YouTube and 22 on Zoom. It was up at 27. Good meeting. Thank you all.
Thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to the bylaws meeting.
Last call for meeting evaluation. Anybody have anything left for meeting evaluation? Okay, seeing none. President's piece.
Yes, thank you all for being here tonight. I'm not feeling that well, so I haven't been on camera, but I've been listening. And just a reminder, everybody, tonight was a great night to remember everybody's just trying their best. And I'm trying to remember that more in how I engage with people, that whatever your agreements or disagreements, that everybody's doing their best. I want to end by saying we lost a civil rights icon recently, and I think it's important to give time to Sir Jesse Jackson. I remember when I started teaching, one of the things I used to teach young people who were struggling with identity and things like that was that phrase, I am somebody. And just remembering that and just having people repeat that. So I leave you with that tonight, to repeat that to yourself. You are somebody. I am somebody. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, the work session is adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for always grounding me, Stephen. Sorry about that.
No problem. You weren't alone.
See y'all.
Good night, everybody.